welcome back. My name is Lexi Jong, and here I like to talk about luxury makeup and brushes. And today we are going to be talking about the ESUM brushes included in the Kinky Sweat collaboration. So Alicia from Kinky Sweat, she knows her brushes. I mean, she's got tons of brush videos. She has a fantastic collection. She really knows what she's talking about. So if you haven't followed her yet, make sure you do. I'm sure pretty much all of you are already subscribed to her channel, but she did a collaboration with ESUM, and basically she was able to select her 5 favorite makeup brushes from the ESUM line and create like a curated set for the holidays. So it's just here for the holidays. She didn't design the brushes were already existing, so you may have some of them. I actually had 1 or 2 of them already, and we're going to take a quick look at the brushes, and then I'm going to demo all of them, and I'll give you my thoughts on the brushes at the end. So the ESUM brushes come packaged in, they have like a clear, like heavy duty bag that goes around them, and like a little brush guard as well, like thick plastic. And that was on the brushes. I already got rid of those. And then everything was in this set. And you can see that Alicia has written some information about the brushes that is on the packaging here. So I'm not going to read you all of it, but I will give you the highlights. So the first brush that she decided to include is the T47. And this is a synthetic foundation brush. Now, when I first saw this brush, my first thought was actually cream bronzer. So we're going to try it today with cream bronzer as well as foundation. So you can see both purposes with this. And then next up, she also included the X52. And this is one of the brushes I already had in my collection. This is actually a multi-purpose goat hair powder brush. And it says it beautifully applies powder, bronzer, highlighter, and blush. And you can see that it's got a dome shape. The hairs start, getting longer here. So we've got kind of this dome shape here. And then we also have the T43, which is a medium-sized synthetic concealer brush. So this brush can be used for concealer, but it also works for applying cream shadows and so forth as well. So we will be using this today. And then we also have the ESUM W23. And this is another one that I already had in my collection. So this is the medium-sized sable hairbrush, I believe. There are, I believe, a small, medium, and a large. And I know I don't have the large. So the W21, I believe, is a small size. I have both of those. And one of the great things about sable hair is it can be used with cream and powder products. So you've seen me use this before on my channel. We're going to use it again today. And then last up, we have the T09, which is a small synthetic brush. And it says it's ideal for smudging liner or for more precise application. So I like this for liner, but I also really like it for lip liner, not just for eyes. So I think it's a nice versatile brush, and you can see it's not flat. It's got more of that like dome shape to it, but it is a thin liner brush. So I'm going to bring you in a little bit closer, and we are going to get started. And I'm starting off with the bronzer, the cream bronzer in the Burberry Essential Glow palette in 01 Fair to Light. And on my skin, I just have the Viseart eye primer on. I did not use any face primer or anything today. So this shade is pretty intense. So I like to go in with my finger and dab a little bit at a time and then brush it out. So I'm taking the T47 and I'm using the narrow side first. So I kind of like to go like straight first, and then at the end I kind of start curving upward. And now I have gone to the wider portion, and that gives just a little bit. So I'm going to add just a little bit more. All right. So I like to apply the cream bronzer contour before my foundation. Let's apply foundation now. We're going to use the same brush. So I'm first going to take my microfiber cloth and just clean off the bristles a little bit. And for foundation today, I'm using the Couture Moisture Foundation in 012. All right, so you can see that this brush, the T47, worked really well with both the contour product and the foundation. It's very soft on the face and it's a nice medium size. So it's a little bit small for a foundation brush, which makes it really good for more targeted areas, but it's not as small as other foundation brushes I have. It's a little large for doing like right under the eyes, but it can be done. And I think overall, it has just the right amount of flex. So I think this is a really nice foundation brush option. For under eye concealer today, I am taking the Pat McGrath and I am going to mix in the Sisley Phytocerns Eclat. So I have L1 in Pat McGrath and shade 1 in the Sisley. And you can see how different they are. This is the Sisley here versus the Pat McGrath. So I mixed the two of these together. And you really just want like the tiniest bit there. And let's take the T43. And with this product, I like to do really thin layers. Okay, and you can see I have a blemish here. I'm just going to take a little bit, tap that right on top. And what I like to do is I like to get the very tip of the brush hair with it and just kind of swirl it in. I don't always cover blemishes and then just kind of tap it out a little. And I just work in small layers. Now I'm not going anywhere today, so I'm not worried about completely covering it. If I were, I would do this slightly differently and I would use a different product. This is a little bit light for that. So I'm just gonna take the tip of my brush into a little bit of the foundation that was left on my hand and I'm just kind of going over that. Now we're gonna take the Pat McGrath Under Eye Concealer in Light and we're gonna get a little bit of this on the tip of the X52 and get this in here. So it looks like it's a really large brush for doing this, but because of that kind of like angled tip, you can actually hit right under the eye. And then I'm just going to use this powder today to set my face. So let's put a little bit on. And let's move on to blush. And I'm just going to continue using this palette here. And I'm going to do a mix of the more pink and plum shade. These are called light pink and pink. So the one that's light pink actually looks a bit purpley to me. And let's just apply this. And again, we're still using the same brush. So you can see that the color goes on easily, and yeah, it applies very nicely. You can also see that it's shedding. So when you have a brush that leaves some loose hairs, again, this is one of the first few times I've used it, so that is really not indicative of anything wrong with the brush. That is normal, because when they do make these, you know, they gather them into the ferrule, and sometimes, you know, when you're gathering a bunch of hairs and so forth, you might have some that are like right next to another one, you know, they kind of get gathered in with it, but they're not actually placed in the ferrule with it. So unless you have a super long one that, you know, is longer than the brush hair, so it would be probably about here. So if you have really long ones coming out, then that would be indicative of a problem. But if they're about the same length as a brush head, that was never a hair that was actually included in the brush in the first place. So that is normal. I'm not sure if normal is the right word, but it's acceptable. Now, this brush can also be used for highlight. So we're gonna go ahead and we're going to go into the light pink shade here. This is called Pink Pearl. And I'm just gonna get some on the very tip. And again, this brush has more of a little bit of an angled dome. So you are able to be a little selective where you pick up your highlight. So you can see it's just going on the very tip. And let's go ahead, we'll just add some up here as well. So for the eyes, I thought we were going with the Danessa Myrix. This is the Color Fix in Exposed. And I'm just going to add a little bit of this. You really only need the tiniest bit. This is actually way more than I'm gonna need. And we are going to start off with the concealer brush with this product. So it is angled, so I'm gonna get a little bit just kind of on the tip. So trying not to get, I'm going like here up. And let's go ahead and apply it this way. Usually when I apply this Danessa Myrix product, I usually put some on the lid and then blend out. But today I wanted to have a lighter layer of it. Okay, now I'm just turning the brush to get into the crease a little bit. And this brush is actually working very well shape-wise with the Danessa Myrix. Okay, so now I'm just gonna add a little bit more to the tip, and I'm gonna concentrate it on the portion closer to the lash line. Just make it a little bit deeper there for some natural variation. So when the color fix dries, it's like there. So, you know, you want to work quickly. And so I always try to do one eye at a time with it. And if you're going in with light layers, give each layer a second to dry before you go in with more pigment. It just makes it a little bit easier to blend. But I think that's like, I mean, I think it's a great like one and done type of shade, or you can totally just use it as a base shade, which is what we are going to do today. So I am going in with this. This is a really old Chanel product. You can see that it is, if I tilt it, it actually falls out. It's not attached to the sides anymore. It's dried up a bit. This is number 84, Epatant, in the Illusion d'Ombre. So we're going to use a little bit of this with the W23. And this is like a really soft, creamy product. And we're going to apply it here. And I'm leaving some of the exposed up by the crease, but it's going over most of the mobile lid here. So I just wiped off the W23 and I am just going over the crease here to kind of blur a little bit of the exposed and the Epatant. I really wish they would bring these back. They are one of my favorite Chanel products of all time. Still kicking myself for getting rid of some of these. Next, we're going to go in with the T09. This is another one of the Illusoire d'Ombres, and this is number 81, Fantasme. It's a nice sparkly white shade. And I like to use this in the inner corner, and I apologize, I don't have a mirror, so I am doing this. Well, there's a mirror in the distance. It's just hard to see, so I'm kind of looking in the viewfinder. And then I wanted to use another one of those that I absolutely love. This is number 83, Illusoire. And again, this time I'm using the liner brush, and I'm going to use it to create an actual eyeliner. So for brows today, I'm just going to take the Chantecaille brow gel. This is the light shade. And you can see we're keeping things really light and casual today. And I'm just using the spoolie on the back of the Surratt pencil to brush through that. You know, I almost forgot. I wanted to use the powder bronzer in here as well and show you how the X52 does with bronzer as well. So I'm just wiped off that brush. We're gonna go in just a little bit here on the tip and apply this. I'm using very tiny bit. You can see this brush is still losing hairs. There, I think maybe you can see that a bit better. Just don't want to go in too dark. All right, I'm gonna put some around the perimeter. Okay, so I'm gonna wipe off the T09 brush, and we're gonna use this for lip liner as well. And I thought we would go in with the Westman Atelier Lip Suede. I have to say I don't use this as much as I should. So we're going to use that. I'm gonna go in with this like purpley shade here. And actually no, we're gonna go into this brick red, the second shade from the top. And I'm just getting a little bit on the liner brush. I'm gonna outline my lips with this shade. Okay, and now I'm taking the flat edge of the brush and I'm just gonna kind of fill this in a little bit. And then I'm taking my finger into the plum shade and I'm gonna put this on top. Sorry, my lips are kind of dry. I haven't been wearing chapstick the last few days. Right, so that's it for the lips. I'm going to add some mascara and then we are going to discuss each of the brushes. All right, so this is my final look and I applied everything with the ESUM Kinky Sweat brush collection. So let's discuss the brushes and we're gonna start off with the first one, the T47. And I really like this brush a lot. So I think it's a great synthetic brush. It is very soft on the skin. I love the shape and the size of it. I particularly really like it for the cream contour bronzer or even like a cream blush. It's not my favorite for a cream blush because I prefer something not quite as wide and more round, but that's just a personal preference. It works very well with cream blush as well. but I really like it for cream contour or bronzer. It works great for foundation as well. I typically go with a larger foundation brush just for speed, but I do really like this and it applies foundation very well. I've used it with a few different foundation formulas, no issues with any of them. So I think it's a really great option. Moving on to the X52, and this is one that I already had. It's a great shape. I love the how it's like tapered, and yet it's still, it's still a round brush, which makes it so nice and easy for blush application and so forth. Yet the pointed top allows you to get more targeted, precise application. Now, as you can see, mine is losing some hairs. As I mentioned, that's not really cause for concern at this time. However, I will be keeping an eye on it to see whether or not it continues. After a good washing or two, I have washed them already, but after a couple more good washings, if hairs are still coming out, then perhaps there's an issue, but I don't think there is. My other brush like this, I did not have this issue with. I think there were just quite a few hairs loose in here from the manufacturing process. So I will, get rid of those hopefully. And I will make sure though that I keep you guys updated as to whether this brush has any other problems. Now, this is goat hair and it's a great brush. I love the shape. I love how it applies things. It's not the softest brush. So I definitely have softer goat hair brushes. So, if you're looking for something uber soft, this isn't it. But if you're looking for a workhorse brush that applies product really well, this is a good option. Next, we have the T43, the concealer brush. I'm just not the biggest fan of concealer brushes of this shape and size. It's just a personal preference. I don't really like the flat paddle ones. I use them. My favorite one is actually the Surratt one, and I will use that. This one though is pretty stiff. So for me, I would prefer it for concealing areas on my face or for something like using it on the eyes like I did with the Danessa Myrix. So I won't really be using this too much under the eyes because my preference is usually to use my finger. And again, that's a personal preference. And when I do use a concealer brush under the eye, I prefer something that has a little bit more give and flexibility. You can see how firm this one is. Overall, it's a nice brush and I like how it comes to the arrowhead shape because if you are using it on the eyes, it really makes it much easier to get into the inner corner. And if you were to line your eyes with this, just using the side angle here, it's a very nice touch. So I think it's a great brush overall, but I will be using it for eye purposes versus concealing purposes. Next up, we have the W23, the sable hair brush, and I really like this. I love sable hair brushes because they pack on powder products really well, but they are also something that you can use with cream products. They're very versatile. And as I mentioned, I have this brush and I also have the smaller version. I really like both of them. So I don't have the large one because I think it's going to end up being too large for my eyes, but I think, overall sable hair brushes, they're not that easy to find. So when you find them, it's always a nice thing to add to your collection. But I do usually use these brushes for cream products or for shimmer shades. And I find that the sable hair really works well with some of those more fallout prone shadows, as well as anything with a cream or liquid. If you're doing something that you are using like a mixing medium or something with, these brushes work great for that as well. So I think it's a great brush. And the ESUM T09, I like this brush. I think it's a very versatile brush. I like it for both lip lining and eyelining and for using in the inner corner. Very versatile. So overall, I think these are really nice brushes. They're great workhorse brushes. Again, if you're looking for the softest brushes in the world, these aren't going to be them, but that's not what they are intended for. They are meant to be more of a workhorse, everyday, easy to use kind of brush. And I think it fulfills that purpose. I think Alicia or Kinky Sweat, she did a great job selecting brushes that have multiple uses and that you can create an entire look with. You don't need to reach for anything else. As a matter of fact, if you prefer using like a brow, a product, like either a powder or like dip brow or something like that, this brush here, the T09, also works well in the eyebrows. So I think overall she did a great job curating these, and these ESUM brushes are nice ones. I really like the shapes. So if you haven't picked up this set yet, I think it's still available on Muse Beauty Pro. So take a look if you're interested, because the brushes are discounted through the set versus the regular price. So just so you know, additional promotions do not apply to the sets. I hope this was helpful, and in a couple weeks when we do the next brush video, I have a very special brush that I cannot wait to highlight. So make sure you tune in for that. It's my most luxurious brush that I have, and I decided to splurge and pick it up. So I cannot wait to share it with you guys. And I'm waiting until Christmas to use it. So we will be going through that in a couple of weeks and the next episode. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you all have happy holidays, and I will see you very soon. Stay safe and healthy.